Welcome to another episode of Their Radio. You know, we're here profiling different artists, different people, different music around the city. Today we have a few members of a group of a band called Brainstory. Brainstory from Rialto. It's not Rialto, it's...
Yeah, Rialto.
Rialto? Okay,
Yeah.
Rialto, California.
Yeah.
You know, something soulful, something jazzy. But yeah, if y'all can introduce yourselves, what your name is,
Yeah.
what y'all play.
I'm Kevin, and I play the guitar and sing in the band.
I'm Tony. I play the bass and I also sing in the band too.
Cool. Well, thank y'all for being here. This is our third season doing this. I'm glad we were able to connect. You know, we were talking briefly before we actually started recording about how we met through Ray, but I wanted to ask y'all, like, how did y'all connect with Ray? How did y'all?
Oh man, that was a long time ago. I think I was around 21. I think he was a part of Hit and Run, the printing crew and all that. So I think I met him through like going to events with my sister Rochelle out in, you know, Echo Park area. This was like 2011 or something like that. So I met Ray, and he was just always cool and just like down and letting us know like what's dope. Like he told me about Thundercats like first record release party.
Oh wow.
So I went to that because of him, and found out about Thundercat. So I don't know, Ray, ever since I met him, I knew he was one of those dudes that like knew what was going on that was dope. And like you could always hit him up. I would always hit him up like, yo, what's going on tonight? Like, and it's like, you know, he was like, oh, fucking, we're going over here because Gas Lamp Killer's gonna DJ, or like he just knows so many people, and so many people really love him. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy because you know, he's our manager now, and you know, that was all those years ago, but we were looking for someone to represent us. And you know, people are always like giving you the runaround, or they're just like, you know, oh, your numbers aren't that good. And it's like, whatever, fool. You're either down or you're not down, you know, like to really fucking rock some shit.
Yeah.
And so it literally we started to reconnect and just like start working with him as our manager, because I was just like on IG, and I was like, we were like meeting with people and they were just all like whack, and I was just like, all right, none of these people have the vibe. And then I was on IG, and me and this fool Ray were chatting it up, and I was like, this fool knows so many people and everybody loves him. Mm-hmm. He has a record shop, like he can manage a band. So I just like off the cuff just asked him like, dog, will you just be our manager? Because I feel like you could, you know, we could do this and it would be sick. And he was like, yeah. And so we met, and then
And he really does talk like that.
And we're just like,
tight.
we're just like, yeah, hell yeah.
Everything that we're looking for. He also understood the music.
Yeah. Well,
That was like the main thing.
That's the main thing.
We were trying to really find was someone who understood the music and where, you know, had a vision or could help us with our own vision of where we can put it, you know.
Yeah.
As far as we're trying to make a life out of it. You know?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, he's a really nice dude, really approachable. And the record shop he was referring to is High Fidelity. Yeah. So if y'all don't know High Fidelity in, I believe it's Mid-City area.
West Adams.
West Adams, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, West Adams. So High Fidelity, definitely check them out. Lots of great records. Lots of jazz records.
Yep.
So he's very influenced by jazz. I want to ask y'all, is that like something that y'all are also heavily influenced by, jazz?
Yeah, the band started as a jazz trio.
Okay.
Yeah, and Tony, we all studied jazz basically.
Okay.
In college, and that's kind of how we met. Like me and Tony had a love for jazz, affinity for jazz, like when we were like in high school. Mm-hmm. And then I went to community college, and then our drummer Eric was studying jazz, and he was a badass. Like, he was already like, you know, playing really well. And I was like my first year in college. I didn't know anything really. And yeah, then we started playing a trio with him. This was like 2009 or something like that. So we were a jazz trio for a number of years, just playing standards and, you know, hard bop. And then, yeah, it just kind of evolved over time.
Yeah, because I've heard of Brainstory for a minute. I feel like if you're a part of LA and like if you know music in LA, I feel like y'all have been a band for a minute. Especially the way I've heard about you was through I think y'all were performing a lot with like the Commons and Levitation Room.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
When we first got into town, so at this time Tony was studying jazz in SF. I had recorded an EP in Rialto with my homie who played drums and like helped me produce it. Shout out to Corey McCormick.
I played on it.
And Tony played on it too. I mean, but like Tony was in the Bay Area and living up there, and you know, he was coming down for gigs once in a while. But I mean, before even the Levitation Room guys put us on, Chicano Batman, I have to mention them too, because they really have been big supporters of us and like putting us on some of their earlier shows and gigs.
Yep. And bar.
Yeah, at the M Bar in East LA and the Boyle Heights right there. But so I came to town. I didn't really have a band, but if I got a show, I could tell Tony like come down, and then he would come down and we would figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
So, but like I didn't really know any bands when I first came. I was straight from Rialto. Like I had been coming to Whittier like to visit my grandparents a bunch and kind of knew some people, but not really. So, I started just like doing some research of my own. Wax Children was a band at that time that was going around. Levitation Room was one of them. The Commons was one of them. And I kind of just was like watching how, what was going on, going to the shows and stuff. And I met the lead singer, Julian Porte, outside. He was a busker at the time. So he was busking outside of Vaughn's in Whittier.
Oh, wow.
And I seen this fool and I was like, hey, you're in that band, huh? And he was like, oh, yo, la la. And we just like kind of, it was like super brief. And then after that, I saw him at a party after one of the Commons show, I think. And then we kind of just connected, chopped it up. And he's like, come by. At that time, they had Everyday's music. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Wait, was that on Whittier?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I do. It was on Whittier and Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a spot.
Yeah, so I went to their spot and like we kind of jammed a bit, and he was like, damn, you're really good at guitar. And I was like, oh, I've been doing jazz and all that. And he was like, dude, come play our fundraiser, because they would have like rent parties so they can pay the rent.
Low
so
key?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't on for that long, I don't think so. I remember I went once, and then I was like, yo, I'm going to go check them out again. And it was gone.
Yeah. It was a crazy little operation they're running over there, but like, yeah, that was like kind of the first time that Julian put me and Tony on a fundraiser show, and that was like a little smaller. Then they put us on a bigger show that they hosted, and that was kind of when we broke out. That's like 10 years ago.
Damn.
That was like 10 years ago. It's like hitting me right now too. But yeah.
What was it? Do you remember what show that was?
It was like the grand opening of their store or something.
Oh, okay.
Because they had the storefront.
Yeah.
And so they just they had a big space, so they set up a stage and they let us do our thing there, and that was kind of like how we just started playing in LA.
So y'all connected with Julian Levitation Room before y'all connected with Chicano Batman, or was that?
Oh no, Chicano Batman is like deep rooted. Like we've known like Carlos, the guitar player.
guitarist.
Yeah, I went to high school with him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how y'all
He's
met.
from Rialto.
Yeah, and he had a band with my sister, our sister.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, who was vocalist in the band.
Okay.
And a bunch of our friends, we all, we were all musicians. It's not many venues or places to play, so we would play in each other's bands. We're like jam or.
What band was that? The one that they had together?
It was called Paradiso.
Paradiso. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn.
That was a long time ago. That was like 2005 or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we met Bardo in 2005, and Carlos, he was adjacent, and then that was before Chicano Batman ever even happened.
But because I remember when Chicano Batman came out, it was like it seemed like they came out of nowhere. But now that you're saying like they had like all of these bands before that, it sounds like it was a long journey to even get to that point where it was. I think it was like 2011 or 12 when they put out that record, and you see them take that video a la cita and
Yeah.
that whole like function, right?
Yeah.
But and it seemed like already like at a high level,
Yeah.
but it seemed like it took like a lot of, you know, trials and tribulation till then.
For sure,
Yep.
for sure. They for a long time, you know, I was in bands and stuff growing up, and like none of the homies' bands, like, you know, like respectfully, it was hard to get out of the IE playing in bands because like you're not getting paid for any of the gigs, and there's not really guidance into how to grow your band, you know. But then I came across, you know, I started hanging out with Chicano Batman again. You know, I met Eduardo, the bass player, and started kicking with Bardo a lot more. And I was just kind of watching them, like how they're doing it, you know, like, oh, they got merch. Like they're making money off the shows, even if they're not getting paid well, they're selling the merch. They have records to sell. So it's like, you know, getting game like that by going into their shows. So, and then, you know, I had made a EP and Eduardo was like, yeah, let's mix it. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, I don't even know what I was doing. You know, I didn't know what mixing really was. So they really put us onto a lot of shit, like
Right.
way before, you know.
Cause they released your first album, right? Was it Relleno Records? El Relleno Records.
Yeah.
So they were the ones who really like put out that first copy.
Yeah, they
Yep.
did. They did. They helped us fund it, and Eduardo Arenas recorded it, and yeah, that was like the first, you know, steps that they really helped us out doing. Yeah.
Are y'all like one of the? I would ask. Are y'all one of the first few bands out of Rialto to really make it out into a larger audience?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know JJ Fad, like the famous like hip hop
Yeah.
girl
Yeah,
group.
they're
From Rialto.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild. Well, did y'all grow up listening or like knowing that, or was it till
No,
like, later
actually, it was till later on.
Yeah, so later
They
on.
changed one of the street names out
To-
in Rialto to JJ Fad Way because it was like the street that they grew up on and they came out of.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that was I was
Yeah.
yeah.
There wasn't too many examples. What was that one band? The like ska band?
Like back in the 90s.
Yeah, like they kind of
Yeah, what I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what they're called. Yeah, there's little things like that.
but like barely.
Yeah.
nothing
There's
that-
really no examples of what to do.
There was a hardcore band named Cromwell, actually, like you know, 2000s, 90s that kind of made it a little bit, like on the K Rock, you know,
Okay,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
hard rock circuit.
Yeah.
But I mean, there wasn't that many, man. Like, you really had to get out to kind of do something.
So like I'm gonna ask y'all this because it sounds like your sister played a large influence in also like showing what like a band could look like,
Big time,
right?
yeah, big time.
What did it look like for her, and what did you take from like her experiences?
Well, she early on she dated like a guitarist that was in a band, and yeah, we would go. We were like kids. We were children. I was like 10, and he was like 12, 13. And we would go to their like band practice in the garage in Rialto, and like we were just like, what the fuck? And they're all like smoking blunts and shit,
Yeah.
and we're just like there like soaking it in. And I don't know, that was like, I didn't even play music at that time, you know, and
We were just
it was-
watching.
we were just watching. So, but also my sister influenced me a lot with like, I would kick it with her in her room, and she would just like put on CDs and we'd listen to music. She'd show me music, like a lot of G-Funk or Bjork or, you know, just a lot
especially
of different shit.
90s R&B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was like her big, like all the new Jack Swing stuff, the girl groups like SWV and like stuff like that. She was like super into. And then when we got older, like, you know, as I really started falling more and more like in love with music, I just start kind of jacking her CDs and then giving them back when she's not looking.
That's cool. Speaking of also family influence, I mean, your dad also played instruments, right? Or
Yeah.
plays or played.
Yeah.
And I saw like y'all had mentioned in previous things like that he played at church,
Yeah, he's a
Yep.
gospel singer.
a gospel singer.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Is that where like that kind of like soulful jazz vibe comes from, or is that just kind of like? Because sometimes I think there's an indirect influence. You know, you just kind of like pick up as you go, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was like, yeah, that's our foundation. Like we were hearing a lot of gospel music and, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire,
War.
Chicano music. Like my dad was all into all that. So we were hearing all that stuff growing up. And yeah, it's not necessarily intentional that like, oh, we're going to do this. It's just like, oh, this is what actually is coming natural because we've been hearing this all our lives kind of thing.
Yeah. And when y'all were younger, y'all had a few bands y'all were a part of as well, right? We have
lot.
Pancho Villa, Shrunken Head.
Yeah.
And we also got Golden Boys.
Yeah. Damn. Okay, Nardwar.
Come on, we got to prepare. Brainstory, they've been doing it for 10 years.
Damn,
Come on.
More than that.
Yeah, man.
But what do y'all remember about those times?
Dude, I mean,
Having fun.
Yeah, just fucking ruckus, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had another band. Well, the Shrunken Head of Pancho Villa was me and Tony's first band.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like a Bad Brains influenced punk band, but it was just me and Tony.
What did y'all play? Bass and guitar?
No, Tony didn't even play bass yet. He just was singing and I was playing guitar.
Oh.
And whenever my parents left, we would just fucking crank the volume and fucking
Be all
rock out.
loud and writing our little songs. and
Yeah,
stuff.
write songs and yeah, and then what else did you mention?
I mentioned Golden Boys.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, yeah, that was the college rendition of we were just still learning how to play music. We were into free jazz, but also like songwriting stuff. So
Okay.
it's kind of like the prototype to Brainstory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tony, you were the one singing in the Pancho Villa band. Did y'all know that you would take that role eventually, or y'all will exchange that role, or like how did it
Nah,
just
we
came
were
to
just
be?
doing it.
Yeah.
We were
Okay.
just doing it.
Kids.
Like,
Yeah. There, I don't know if y'all seen this, but like a few weeks ago, there was this Lil Jon interview that came out, and Lil Jon, like crunk
Yeah.
pioneer,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
amazing. But he was talking about a lot how like he took a lot of like that energy from punk music, so it's like punk music translating into like hip hop and stuff and different
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah.
Is that something similar that y'all felt like y'all grabbed from
Definitely.
punk?
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep.
Anyone who catches a live set, like we always try to play with a lot of energy, even if it's like a slow song, slow, fast, no matter what. We're trying to, fill the space with the energy and get the audience to also interact with that energy and just make it high. And, listening to music like Bad Brains, but also like gospel music, Pentecostal gospel music, it's not a subtle music, people, they feel the spirit. We seen fools jumping off of balconies, like,
Oh wow, out of gospel music.
yeah, like I seen fools doing flips in the air, like people really just, giving it up. And so when we play, we still have that. Jazz is kind of the same stuff. It's all playing music with high energy.
Yeah. Is that also like a learning experience through like many shows that you have done, or is that something that you knew like something that was going to be important, just even recording the music?
Yeah, I think it's recording the music is kind of a different story, but like, yeah, I think a lot of the strength that we got was because at least like coming in on the scene, at the time in LA, it was like just all like psych rock,
Yeah.
the Growlers and things like, sound like that, like, surf rock, psych rock. And, we came on like playing jazz and like these crowds were like, what? Like we had a lot of nights where people were just like, we're done, and they loved it, but they were just like scratching their heads. But yeah, like we, that it was like that energy from punk. We heard jazz and we're like, that's the same energy, but like they're just more sophisticated playing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then we've always kind of been into songwriting, Beach Boys, Beatles, all that kind of stuff, Bob Dylan. And we want to just like put it all together because we thought that would be the best kind of like thing. That would be our thing, is like we put jazz and all these things together and kind of wrap it up in a different way that people hadn't seen before. So yeah, that energy is carried throughout, and it's like kind of really important to, I think, why we even got this far, to be honest.
Yeah, because I do want to ask y'all about something you just mentioned right now is that transition between what music and like the LA rock scene or whatnot. You're mentioning it came to like psych and like surf. What does it look like now, and what did y'all think caused that like shift? Because I feel like there was a shift, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely everyone wants to be the this and that, you know. It's like soul and oldies is like pretty much killing it right now, and that's cool, you know. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's just trends, you know, things that people catch on to, something that gets marketed well to people, and then it just does its thing, and then everybody is like, oh, I can do it. Like we're always like being like, oh yeah, these fools, yeah, they used to be like a Beatles psych rock band, now they're over here like freaking wearing tuxedos and trying to play like soul music. It's just like morphs like that, you know what I mean? It's all just music in the end, but yeah, people gravitate to it because yeah, I guess it's getting marketed to them, to be honest.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, I think at the end of the day, the authenticity kind of prevails over all of that.
All the time, yeah.
Even thinking about Latin music, you know, I was thinking about like the way corridos and like a lot of like, you know, now is kind of the wave, but then we also see the transition of even before that was cumbias, but now cumbias to the next level as well. So it's cool to see in just all these different genres.
Yeah, getting mixed up, especially in LA, you know, because our friend even like Arenas, like I mean, like Son Rompepera is like, they're fucking killing it, and they are doing like cumbias, but it's like punk. You know, like Arenas has been doing that as well. Like we've been, you know, playing cumbias, but then like or quebradita style, but like ramping it up, and people are going crazy, and I just love that mix. You know, I think that's what it's kind of really about, is like taking elements and how can we do something else with it. You know.
Yeah.
And not so everything's not so one dimensional and just like, I don't know, cosplay, like, you know, people, rehashed things. Like, how can we make this new? How can we move forward? You know, I think that's too like the Miles Davis influence, the jazz influence for us. It's like, how can we take these familiar sounds that everybody knows, but how can we like do something with it, like to make, you know, the culture grow?
Yeah,
it
definitely pushes the culture forward.
Yeah,
and
that's what we're after for sure.
It also just makes fools like more open-minded.
Yeah,
I think just as much as us who made the music, you know, and also the listener.
Well, what do y'all think? What is this new album bringing? Sounds good. Sounds good. That's how I read it. Sounds good.
I mean, yeah, you know, we're doing a little bit of everything that we've always been doing, but I think this time around, you know, we're just more experienced and we're more seasoned as writers, as studio musicians, as everything that we've been doing, but just like now solidified and just like into our own, you know? But yeah, I guess like, you know, there's some soul in there, of course. There's some jazz in there. And I think you know, I'm really proud of like the work that we did on this. I think it's our best work yet, in every way, you know, when it comes to even just the art and what it looks like, you know, and then of course the music is just like, you know, the production by Leon Michaels is just like top tier.
Yep.
And it's just like we're finally like, I think like we found our place in the sun, you know what I mean? Like with the people that we want to work with, that work with us the best, you know, Ray and Big Crown Records and you know, Leon and Jens over there in New York, like, and just that whole squad is just like informed and educated us so much that we're like, oh, okay, this is how we want to do it. And we're lucky also to be with people that just like let us do us, you know, and they just want to enhance it. There's a lot of trust and friendship involved in making this, and like I think you could see it through and through, you know, when you get a listen, there's something special. There's a real actual connection going on between all of us in the studio. And I think that's what, you know, makes a good record. Of course, good songs, good sound and blah, blah, blah. But what really ties it up in the end to make it legendary is like the fun that went into it. And I think that's what this Sounds Good is, you know, has for sure.
Why sounds good? Because I was like, you know, like, because when it kind of seems it not that it seems like a bad thing, but it's just kind of like, oh, it sounds good.
It's
good.
underscored, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
No,
you kind of like, I don't know, but
It's
yeah.
funny. Well, I mean, it's meant to be funny. Like we're also people that don't take ourselves all serious and shit. Like even the cover, like us as dogs playing pool, like it looks crazy, you know. Like, and it's called Sounds Good, but you know, it really we came up with calling it Sounds Good because anytime we were in the studio doing a take and like, you know, looking into the booth like to see if Leon's like, what's going on? Like, we gonna do this again? And anytime it was dope, like really dope, he was like, sounds good.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
that's our like baseline. It, like, sounds good. Like this fool says that, then we're good.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just kind of like, yeah. Like,
And
sounds good.
Leon is the co-owner of Big Crown Records, and he
Yep.
does like the Michael Affairs, or what is it called? Yeah. So you know, and I also read that y'all recorded this in New York.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Mostly, yeah.
Is that how does New York influence the sound or the space?
Oh.
Let me repeat that.
Yeah.
Does New York influence y'all in any way? I don't know. I've never been to New York, so I don't know if the vibe is different, is fast paced, low pace. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's the studio itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
really
Would
is
be
a
the
huge
biggest,
factor. It's a legit studio. Big fools have recorded and do record there, and you know, it's kind of Brainstory's real first like professional recording space that we ever been to when we recorded Buck, when we didn't know how to even be professional at all, you know, and so it's a place that we don't get to go to very often either. So it's like exciting to be there. Exciting to be in this legendary studio, and you almost look at yourself like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm recording. Like, they hired me, you know, and they have like the best gear there, like all the best amps, all the best vintage bass guitars, synthesizers, you know, like things that I wouldn't have dreamed of maybe like 15 years ago that I would even have access to. So we get there, every time we record there, it's just like exciting.
Where did y'all record before? Was it like kind of like at home, like makeshift studio, or what was it like?
our first like studio project, we did the EP with Eduardo Arenas. That's over here in Commerce, California,
Okay.
in the back of like a textiles factory.
That's how Converse is.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, I mean, you can make a studio anywhere these days, but that was our first like, space and studio experience that we had together. And you know, it's the studio performance is different from a live performance.
Okay.
You know, you want to just narrow down what you're going to play, because after all, when you're performing in the studio, you know, mistakes, and you're just like objectively hearing the music a lot different than a live show. And the live show is about the energy, about the crowd, about that whole experience. But when you're in the studio, the crowd is the producer, and they're listening critically. They're like, is this working? I don't know if this is working. Like, you maybe got to try something else.
Yeah.
So it's just like a whole different kind of thing. And it took us a little while to get comfortable in that kind of setting. Again, we're more performance based coming up. So when we, you know, went to New York for the first time and been in that space, it was a learning experience for the first couple times. But now, again, like now that we've done it a couple times, we've gotten used to it and gotten better at it.
Do y'all have any like go-to spots in New York y'all like to kick it at, hang out at, besides the studio?
Yeah, we just go to the regular spots that are like around the studio.
Okay.
There's like this bowling alley that we always get drinks at after, the gutter or something like that. But
There's that jazz bar too. They have jazz.
what the
sometimes.
Long Island City, Long Island in Long Island City, or
Yeah,
yeah,
it's close by there. It's
yeah.
called Anthropology or something.
No, that's ornithology. That's in
Yes.
Bushwick.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a cool jazz clubs. I don't know. It's like it's such a big place. So much going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to
Kind of
recall
whatever's
everything.
popping at that particular time.
Okay,
where we're
okay.
at.
So most of the time you're all just like, let's get this done.
Yeah,
Let's get
yeah,
this-
it's more
I
work
feel
than
it.
like kicking it, you know.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it.
We always kick it at the studio too. We just go
Yeah.
get our thing was like we run a wine program. Me and Leon go, like we were like, oh fuck, is it 5 o'clock? All right, we got to go get the program. So we go and get 3 bottles of wine, and then we usually ended up kicking it at the studio for the most part
Yeah.
when we're there. It's just it's dense, you know.
It's
New York's
work.
dense.
You know,
Yeah.
we're also doing like 10-hour days.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
And there's not really any spare time.
Yeah,
too
that
much.
makes sense.
But it doesn't matter because recording is what we like to do too. So
We're
whatever.
having a blast. You
Yeah,
know,
we're
we
having
love
a good
Leon
time.
and
Yeah.
Jens and being in
Fun.
that space.
Yeah, I wanted to ask y'all about that relationship between y'all and Leon because from what my understanding is that y'all also met Leon through Eduardo, right?
Yeah.
Through Eduardo, and then that's how he listened to your music and y'all were he got interested in y'all. But I saw that he also did a project with Black Thought, right?
Yeah.
And the music that he for one, I think it's Alter Ego. It samples a
Yeah,
track from
yeah,
y'all. Bye
yeah,
Bye.
yeah,
How did
yeah.
y'all feel when y'all saw that?
Dude, that's
Felt
that whole thing
amazing.
is epic. It was
I
crazy.
couldn't believe it.
Yeah. We got to do the release show too with him.
Oh, wow.
And we played on
we
that.
opened, Brainstory opened, and then I got to play in the band with El Michael's Affair, which was crazy because I sang a lot of the hooks on the record. The title track is actually us on there. Leon hit us up like, yo, record some stuff in Long Beach and just send it to me, and I'm gonna show it to Black Thought and see what he wants to rap on. And Glorious Game is me, Tony, and Eric in our studio. That was in quarantine in 2020.
Oh wow.
So like we produced that song for it, and we were just gassed. Like it came out sick, and we got to meet Black Thought, and he's fucking sick. He's cool, and it's just surreal.
Yeah,
Very surreal.
do y'all ever think about that? Like, oh, like maybe one day one of these, because a lot of like, especially hip hop that's like rap based and like lyrical, a lot of it takes from like soul and and jazz. Is that something that y'all ever thought about? Like, oh, maybe one day a rapper, our music will be taken into a different genre, but still
Yeah,
connected.
yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah.
We love hip hop too. Rialto and the IE in general is like a huge like hip hop place.
Yeah.
So we grew up hearing everything from DJ Quick to like, Tribe Called Quest and all that 90s hip hop. We were super surrounded by it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we love hip hop, so everything's just music, It's not like genre this,
Yeah.
genre that. And that's what hip hop is dope for. It's like they'll take some Indonesian sample and like flip it and make something out of it, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we highly encourage that for artists out there. We got sampled by Maghami.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And, we got sampled by Pink Sifu and Be Kool-Aid, their project. And it's just like, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
It's dope. Like, I just like that, hip hop will just like, recycle and reuse and make something new out of it. It's dope.
Oh, and Ninth Wonder too.
Oh yeah, Ninth
What?
Wonder sample.
That
Ninth
shit
Wonder
was
for which
crazy.
song?
Something he came out with recently. It's like You Can Do It or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
nah, that shit. I was about to cry when.
Wait, is that the one
came
that's
out.
been like viral on TikTok? I don't know if y'all seen it.
I'm not sure. I
Ninth
hope.
Wonder.
I hope it is.
Might be going crazy on TikTok.
Right.
Please go viral.
All right. Going back to the project,
Yeah.
because by the time the episode airs, the project will be out.
Yeah.
And I gave it a listen. My favorite track is "Sweet and Lovely." I really enjoy that song. But the one I want to talk about is a Gift of Life.
Yeah.
The cover of A Gift of Life when it came out as a single is a photo, and there's a lot of photos within that photo. Could y'all tell me a little bit more about that and why y'all chose that cover specifically for that single?
Yeah, so it's like there's that it's kind of meta. It's like, so Gift of Life kind of resurfaced. I wrote that when I was like 19. It resurfaced for this record, and because my grandparents, we were living with them, like without their support and letting us like live in Whittier with them, and we were helping them out and stuff.
Like in the beginning of the band.
In the beginning of the band, we really wouldn't be here without their support. So they recently both passed away in the last 2 years.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
So Gift of Life is pretty much like an ode to them and basically the ancestors in general, you know. We're Chicano and, you know, come from Native American roots as well. So it's like there's a lot of sacrifices that the people before us had to do, especially like my grandfather. He's a musician, but he was just like on his own, you know. He would practice by himself like for like 50 years until
Every day.
we pulled up, and then we started playing with him, and we kind of like made his little music dreams come true. We played at the Christmas party every year, and like he was
Thanksgiving.
performing, and he was just always stoked. He was around November, he'd be like, "We got to start practicing," and we're like, "Yeah, let's get it." So we played jazz with him and stuff, and you know, R.I.P. to them. And that whole cover for sure is like an ode to them. There's a picture of my grandma and grandpa in it that if when they're like teenagers or when they're just married. But that piano is my grandma's piano in my grandma's house, and yeah, it's pretty much an ode to them, you know.
Yep.
And like, you know, there's a red apple in there. That's just like a toy that we all
Childhood
grew
toy.
up with. My sister Tony and myself, like we just, you know, just stuff like that, like little trinkets. There's some like little homie toys in there because my grandpa has like this whole set of them, and he was a collector, and a lot of his collectible stuff is in there. I kind of wanted to do like a I Spy. You remember those books, I Spy? It's like a little I Spy set. You know what I mean?
That'd be sick.
And it was just kind of like, yeah, just kind of an ode to them.
Tony, when you heard that song, what did you think?
When I heard it,
Yeah, when you heard it, or when y'all came together to make it.
basically, you know, a lot with my grandparents passing away, like it's kind of like a passing of the torch. They were a huge foundation in the family, and as far as me and my brother, like they supported us so much, and they were a huge sense of security for us, you know, especially in the beginning years. Like we would practice in the garage, like, and you know, living there allowed me to like save up enough money to buy like my first amp, like real gear, you know. And if it wasn't for them, you know, we would, like he was saying, we wouldn't be here. So when we came to recording the song, it was like an important way for us to not only express our you know, infinite gratitude towards our ancestors, but also as a way, at least for me personally, to like mourn. Because it still, even to this day, I'm in the process. And you know, even every time we play that song, we played it a couple times live, like I really enter that place where I'm like, you know, playing with the spirit of my grief in it, as much as like the exaltation to be proud, you know, that we're, you know, we're the product of people that couldn't be erased, basically.
I love that. That's real. That's real. And I think even just reading the title off of it, it's like a gift, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a gift.
yeah.
And I think that's also like what music is for a lot of us, especially also thinking about like why we do it. It's like helping us mourn, helping us celebrate, helping us
Yeah.
just release some type of energy. And like y'all mentioned, energy is like kind of like one of the driving forces. It's not it's not knowing how to like the technical stuff. It's not
No,
all of
it's
that,
not.
right?
No,
At the end of the day, it's the energy.
Yeah, and
Yep.
what we're trying to evoke, what, you know, how we're approaching it. I think that's what makes good music. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Is that you know, it's changing the vibration of everybody that's around. You know,
they're connecting.
yeah,
Getting people to
connecting, you know.
connect. It's
Yeah.
kind of funny too, because like, you know, we had brought up like the early days and playing at Julian's spot and all that. Like we didn't even really play that good, to be honest. We were still learning and figuring it all out, but we played with the energy,
Yeah,
you know. So it really is the energy that's like the foundation of it all.
yeah, yeah. It is. It
And
truly is.
now that we're seasoned musicians, we could do it better.
Yeah.
But without the energy, we wouldn't even be here.
That's real. That's the driving force, as y'all mentioned before, right?
It really is. It really is. Like, honestly, like, it's a blessing to be able to be on this platform, or whatever platform that we're on, out of Rialto, like, really, going around the world this year, taking it international. And it's like, yeah, man, it's off the strength of, like, just good intention to make good music and to make music that can have real meaning and function in people's lives, not just to glorify ourselves or how good we play or, whatever shit that people can get lost in, about, like, making music and playing music. Because there's this whole other side. Yeah, it's a spectacle. You're rock star or whatever shit. Like, people kind of do it for that. And, I've seen it over the years. People just drop like flies because I think the intention isn't, like, pure about, let's make good music that people just,
You got to be down.
They can have something tangible, Of course, there's different music that, does it in different ways. It's not even throwing shade on other styles or nothing. But, like, if the intention is not there, like, people feel it whether they know it or not. And, like he would say, we weren't that great, like, but they saw us going, like, and they're just like, okay, these fools are into it, like, I guess, they just, you just try to give it up, and it's off the strength of the energy for sure.
Cool. I have a few more questions.
Cool.
I do have to ask this just because, speaking of connection and collaboration, I saw that Claro was singing in the background for Hanging On, right?
Yeah.
How did that connection come to be? How did y'all connect?
Leon just actually finished producing a record for her.
Oh, okay.
Her newest record. And ever since he started working with her, she just was coming around to hang out and stuff. So anytime we were in New York, she would pull up and hang, and we would go out. Yeah, she's just a homie. So she would just pull up, and one day she was there, and she was like, I'm trying to sing on something. I'm like, oh shit, all right, what? So then I was like, this song would be perfect. We had just kind of finished tracking my part of it, so we're just like, oh, pretty natural. It's just like, she's down to sing, so here's the part, and she killed it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Before I ask my last question, I heard the conversation y'all had with your dad.
Yeah.
One of the few, like during the COVID.
Yeah.
And he spoke about how, like, he would sing because bullies would, like, make him sing, right, to avoid confrontation and avoid conflict. But he also sang in the choir, right? Or he also sang at church. So my question to y'all is, like, what do y'all hope your music brings to each other, but also to others who listen to it?
That's a good question. I think just like an authentic feeling of being alive is probably what I would like, because I have moments where I'm listening to music and I'm like, the music's hitting, the sun is shining, or it's raining, or whatever feeling is being, like, connecting me to the moment. And, like, the music can serve as a universal, like, gateway to, like, your emotions and, like, the moment. And, like, I just hope the music could be a little, maybe therapeutic for people. And people tell us all the time, like, your song got me through some hard times. And honestly, that's, like, the highest praise. Like, that's like getting a Grammy,
Yep.
When people are just like, I'm feeling this. Like, I just broke up with my girlfriend and I've been listening to your song nonstop. It's been helping me. I'm like,
let's go.
That's it. Let's go. That's it,
I think too, like, I always think about, like, our own personal family history and, colonialism and how that, like, broke us apart from the tribe, and that fool went over here and did this, blah, blah, blah. Like, music was created for people to connect. We all come from, like, stardust, literally, in our bodies, in the earth and all that shit. Like, so, when when you engage with music in that way, in the original way that it was made, you know, to conjure up spirits and shit, like, I also think that maybe we don't have a tribe no more, and that there's a lot of people that are missing a space for them to kind of conjure up those really deep, indescribable feelings, you know, and music definitely can bring you back there. And you need to go back there, you know. And some people do it with religion. Not everybody has a religion, you know. Not all these different people are going to come into one church, but they'll come to a Brainstory show. And so part of it is that, you know, the high energy, it's not really coming from us. Yeah. It's coming from somewhere else, you know, just like we grew up seeing my dad sing and stuff. Like, he doesn't perform with the idea that it's him on the stage doing, you know, he doesn't even think about anything. He just blacks out, and the energy flows through him just like it does us. And the way that makes me feel connected back to the original source of all life, I hope that that's doing that for people too.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of connecting and coming back to the past, to the present, to what's after, I do want to ask y'all this is my last question. What song reminds you of that, of home? Just one song.
In general?
In general, yeah.
Of like home, I think of a song like that will bring me back to Rialto. You know, like that's what I always think of as home, and that's always like, you know, Pitching on a Party by DJ Quick.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say DJ Quick, or like Sugar Free.
Yeah,
too.
Sugar Free.
Okay.
That will get me there for sure.
Where does it take y'all?
Just like house party vibes, like just like it's all nostalgic energy for me, and yeah, I mean for this.
You know what? Also too though, is like Zappin' Roger or like Atomic Dog, you know, P-Funk, early like electro funk. That was like the music of like all of our tios and
barbecue, like
and they grew up with that, and it's kind of like, to me it invokes like San Bernardino, straight up.
Cool. Well, thank y'all for coming through Brainstory.
Yeah, for sure.
And when does the project come out?
Yeah, so we're going on tour starting on April 18th. Unfortunately, it's sold out at the Lodge Room, but we're going to be everywhere after that. But the album
Go to San
drops,
Francisco.
Yeah, the album drops April 19th on Big Crown Records worldwide. There's vinyl, there's cassettes. We're going to have all of that at our shows.
New merch, too.
New merch. So, yeah, come have fun with us, man.
Thank you, Brainstory. Thank y'all for coming through. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.